Hello, and welcome to the online training for the Audible Bats Project Opportunistic Surveys. My name is Sarah Rose. I'm a biologist at the Northwest Bat Hub at OSU Cascades. Opportunistic surveys are no commitment option for contributing to this project. In this video, you'll learn how to identify and report bat calls. Once you've completed the training, all we ask is that you keep an ear out while you are outside after dark during the summer. First, I want to say a quick thank you for getting involved in this project. As you might imagine, bats can be pretty difficult to study, and this project helps us to get a better understanding of how some of our rarest bats are using different habitats across the Pacific Northwest. We couldn't do that without you. This project focuses on just two of our region's 16 bat species, spotted bats and pallid bats. Luckily, they seem to like to hang out in many of the same places. Both species are known to live in deserts and the sage steppe. Spotted bats will often fly up to alpine meadows to hunt, and pallid bats show a strong affinity for agricultural lands. Both species like to roost in cliffs and visit ponds for both hunting and drinking. As far as we know, spotted bats roost in tall, sheer cliffs. The tops of these cliffs are the most reliable places to hear them. They can commute huge distances every night, and so if you're at the top of a cliff or canyon, you'll often hear spotted bats flying in the same direction along the canyon. Their echolocation calls are a low frequency and the reason we started this project in the first place. Those calls are distinctive and audible to the human ear, so long as you have decent hearing. While the bats are on the move, their calls sound like the ticking of a clock. Here's an example. When they are hunting, they sound just a little different. The clicks themselves sound the same, but the pattern of clicking changes. They will speed up or slow down their ticks depending on what they are trying to locate. Here's an example of a spotted bat echolocating while it hunts. Pallid bats almost exclusively feed on ground-dwelling invertebrates such as spiders, centipedes, scorpions, crickets, and ants. They will even run on the ground to chase down their prey. If you see this behavior, please let me know. Bonus points if you get a video. Pallid bat females form maternity colonies to raise their young together. They do show a preference for cliffs, but will also occupy bridges, big snags, abandoned buildings, and other man-made structures. At these colonies, they talk to each other. These social calls are the sounds we are listening for with pallid bats. Luckily, they are pretty distinct from spotted bat echolocation calls. Pallid bats produce rapid double or triple clicks. They don't follow any particular pattern. If you're very close to a maternity colony, you might hear a cacophony of them, but more likely you'll just hear a few while they fly around trying to find their friends. Here's an example. So, you're sitting by your campfire on a warm summer evening when suddenly you hear a series of clicks. First, how can you be sure it's a bat? The biggest clue is where the sounds came from. If it comes from the ground, it's not a bat. Also, if you hear a series of clicks, you should be able to discern that the animal that is making them is moving. We always expect bats to vocalize while in flight, so if the sound isn't moving, it's a safe bet it's not coming from a bat. I'm going to play a few more bat call examples in a minute, but I suggest you also check out our YouTube channel to listen to a few more calls to familiarize yourself. If you are able, you can always try and record the sound with your phone and send it to me for confirmation if you're unsure of which species you heard or whether or not you heard a bat. Once you're fairly convinced that you have heard a bat, you'll fill out a very short data sheet. You will need to download an app called Survey 123. Once you have the app, tap Continue without signing in. To load the survey, tap on the tiny QR code in the corner of the search bar and scan the QR code at the end of this presentation. The QR code is also on our website. Alternatively, you can use your phone to open the link on our website. Once you have opened it on your phone once, it should be available in Survey 123 every time you open the app. There are numerous survey types for this project, but all of them use the same data sheet, so no matter what, you just tap Collect. For opportunistic surveys, you'll enter your name and the date first. For survey start time, just put the time you heard the bat, then fill out whatever fields are pertinent. If you heard more than one bat and kept track, then fill out the total number of bats and the time of the first and last observations. If you only heard one bat, you can just put the time you heard it in the survey start time field and then put the number of bats for whichever species you heard. For location, you just need to tap the little circle symbol for that field and the coordinates will pop up along with a little map. Site photos are optional for opportunistic surveys. Obviously, if it's dark, there's no need to take a photo, but if you've already taken a photo of the area in the daylight, feel free to attach it. You can do that by tapping the little folder symbol. Once you've finished, tap the little check mark at the bottom. If you have cell service, you can tap Send Now. If not, save it in your outbox. Just don't forget to go back into the app later to send it. Do this by tapping Outbox and then Send. You should see this. And then it will show how many surveys you've sent at the bottom. Okay, as promised, we're going to listen to a few more bats. So while I play each of these, try to test yourself and see if you can tell the difference between the two species. Okay, do you know what that was? It was a spotted bat. Yeah, pretty classic spotted bat call right there. Very nice and loud. That's about how it sounds when they're flying directly overhead. We're not always quite that lucky. Did you catch that? There's just one little double click in the middle of that little sound bite, and that was a pallid bat. Next. Okay, that one was a spotted bat and it was hunting. So you could hear the change in how fast it was clicking as it flew overhead. Okay, so that clip had a few different instances of pallid bat social calls. So they sounded a little different than the first one that I played. And because they're social calls and these are a form of communication, they can vary. We know that they vary regionally and that also possibly from individual to individual. But the key thing to note is that we had still a little double click. We could hear two distinct clicks back to back, and they didn't really follow a pattern outside of that. And so that's how we know that we had a pallid bat. Okay, that was another spotted bat. And at this point, I bet you know that that was a pallid bat. All right, what do you think? Yeah, that one was a trick. There was no bat in that clip. That was all insect noise. I like to play that because a lot of people feel like they can't tell the difference initially between insect noise and bat noise. But you can pick it up pretty quickly. One of the biggest clues to knowing if you're hearing an insect versus a bat is that a bat isn't going to be making these sounds while sitting still or while on the ground. So if it's overhead and it's moving, you can feel pretty confident that it's a bat. And if you ever find yourself feeling confident that you're hearing a bat, but you don't know which species you're hearing, maybe you can just barely hear it, maybe you only got a couple of clicks and it was pretty distant, default to spotted bat, and then you can put a little note in that data sheet about your uncertainty. We will have a notes field. So don't worry too much about that. And again, we're going to default to spotted bats. Those are the ones you're more likely to hear using this method. And there's a number of reasons for that. But anyways, okay, one more. Okay, yeah, that was another really classic spotted bat. There are more resources available if you need them. Most of these pertain to planned surveys, but again, checking out our YouTube channel can help you to get more familiar with bat sounds. All right, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, we really appreciate your participation in the project, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or if you just see something super cool that you want to share with me.